A rookie tackle is smashing all expectations while veterans fall to career-ending injuries. But that's nothing compared to the chaos unleashed in the receivers room, where injuries are brutally defining who survives and who disappears from this roster forever. And if you thought we had seen all the drama this season, wait until you hear about the nuclear bomb that exploded on Friday. The NFL's most dominant pass rusher just requested his exit from Dallas, and Chicago desperately needs a pass rusher. Don't miss a second of this video, because I guarantee these 3 stories will completely change how we view the start of this season. Like it now and subscribe, because what's coming next will blow your minds. Remember when we were worried about protecting Caleb Williams' blindside? Let me tell you, Aussie Trapo came from Boston College ready for war, and he's making those worries disappear like smoke in Chicago's wind. This guy's playing like he's been in the league 5 years, not 5 weeks. While Kieran Amagaji is out with a leg injury from last Saturday's practice, and Braxton Jones keeps struggling to find that consistency that separates great left tackles from mediocre ones, Trapo is taking every rep like it's his last chance to prove he belongs in this league. And you know what's most impressive about all this? No one, and I mean no one, expected a second-round pick to come and take over such a critical position so quickly. I think Ryan Poles saw something in this kid that the rest of the league missed, because when you've got offensive coordinator Declan Doyle speaking like this about a rookie, that's no coincidence. Doyle was crystal clear when he talked about Trapo's progress. He's playing fast. You see it on tape. You see it through these first 2 weeks. That's the most important thing, that he's going as fast as he can, trying to push the defense. Do you get what that means? We're talking about a rookie who's not just learning the system, but already playing with the mental speed you need to survive in this league. But here's the part that really excites me about this situation. Head coach Ben Johnson already knew that Trapo had the pedigree to succeed in Chicago. Johnson explained the connection with Boston College in a way that gives me chills. They've been known for years for producing offensive linemen ready for the professional level. They run a professional system with Bill O'Brien and Will Loing. You realize what that means for us? We're talking about a college program specifically preparing its offensive linemen for the NFL style of play. It's no coincidence that Trapo looks so comfortable executing the blocks we need to protect Williams and open holes for our running game. Johnson kept explaining what really convinced him about Trapo. He gave me a great perspective on Aussie, not just as a player, but also about the kind of person he is, what he does well, what he doesn't do well. He knows what those things are, and he maximizes them. That last phrase stuck in my mind. He knows what those things are, and he maximizes them. Do you know how many players in this league, especially rookies, have that kind of self-awareness and mental maturity? I ask you this. Isn't that exactly the kind of mindset you need protecting the most important franchise quarterback we've had in Chicago since the days of Jay Cutler? The reality of the situation is that Amagaji had a solid week of practice before Friday's off day. But this leg injury comes at the cruelest possible time. We are exactly 8 days away from the first preseason game against Miami on August 10th. And when you're a rookie trying to establish yourself on this roster, every missed practice is gold you can't recover. I think Amagaji is going to come back and compete because that kid has real talent. But Trapo is seizing this opportunity like a veteran. The rotation now is basically between him and Jones. And honestly, every day that passes, Trapo is making it harder to take him out of that starting position. And you know what I like more about this situation? Trapo isn't playing to not lose, he's playing to win. His ability to stay healthy while holding up against pass rushers who have been in this league for years is impressive for a 22-year-old kid who was playing college football just 6 months ago. Doyle was brutally honest about the evaluation process ahead. At some point, yes, we're going to have to cut down the options and really focus on these are the guys we're going with. Right now, we're working through the rotation. There's a lot of football left to play in the preseason. But I'll tell you this, if Trapo keeps playing at the level he has shown these 2 weeks, that decision is going to make itself. When you have a rookie executing protections like a veteran and communicating with the offensive line as if he were the leader of the group, you can't ignore that. The offensive line had already had enough problems this week with Jonah Jackson. And Bill Murray out due to injuries, but Jackson returned Saturday working with the starters. Now it's the tackle position generating all this rotation. But Trapo is proving he can be the stable solution we need in that critical position. If that surprises you, wait till you hear this. The war in the receivers room just got 10 times more intense. Miles Boykin got injured during Saturday's 7-on-7 drills, and let me tell you, when you're fighting for your professional life and get hurt less than 2 weeks from the first, a preseason game, every second you spend in the training room is a second another player is using to steal your place on this roster. Do you understand the brutal math of this situation? Boykin arrived in Chicago with a 1-year contract he signed in April after a career that includes time with the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're talking about a player drafted in the 3rd round by Baltimore in 2019. That's real draft pedigree. But in this ruthless league, what you did 5 years ago guarantees absolutely nothing today. His career numbers are respectable. 38 receptions for 498 yards and 7 touchdowns during his time in the NFL. Those aren't numbers that make you a star, but they're not numbers of a player who doesn't belong in this league. He's a physical receiver at 6 foot 4 inches and 231 pounds, exactly the kind of red zone threat that Matt Eberflus and his staff wanted to add to this group of receivers. But here's the brutal problem Boykin faces now. He doesn't offer value in kick or punt returns, which is something players like Devin Duvernay and Tyler Scott can do. In the modern NFL, especially when you're fighting for the last roster spots, versatility isn't a luxury. It's a necessity for survival. And you know what makes this injury even more devastating for Boykin? The timing is absolutely cruel. During training camp up to this point, he had made some solid catches, especially connecting with backup quarterback Tyson Bagent in red zone situations where his size and physicality really shined. I think Boykin was starting to find his rhythm in this offensive system. But now, while he's in the training room recovering from this injury, players like Olamide Zaccheaus are taking advantage of those extra reps that could define who makes the final roster. The competition is absolutely fierce because everyone in that receivers room understands the ruthless math. With DJ Moore, Romo Dunze, and Keenan Allen basically guaranteed in the top 3 positions on the depth chart, there are only a couple of spots left for the rest of that group. And you know what really worries me about Boykin? It's that when you have players like Zaccheaus who has real starting experience and knows multiple positions on the field, Duvernay who can immediately help on special teams and has history working with the staff's coaches, and Scott who is a young prospect with real upside, every practice missed due to injury is one less opportunity to separate yourself from that group. I ask you this. Do you think Boykin can recover in time to make a significant impact in those 3 preseason games? Because honestly, those games can literally be the difference between having a job in September or being at home watching the games on TV. Preseason games are where players in Boykin's position make their money. It's where they can show they can produce against real competition when the lights are on and coaches are evaluating every play with a microscope. When you lose practice time to injury, you also lose the chance to build that chemistry with the quarterbacks you need to shine in those crucial moments. The brutal reality is Ryan Poles has built real depth at the wide receiver position for the first time in years. That's great for the team, but devastating for bubble players like Boykin who need every possible opportunity to prove their worth. And you know what's most frustrating about this situation? Boykin had been doing exactly what he needed to do during camp. He was running routes with precision, using his physicality to win battles in traffic, and proving he could be a reliable weapon in red zone situations where you need someone who can win one-on-one matchups. But injuries do not respect timing, and now Boykin is in a race against time to return to the field before other players take an irreversible advantage in this battle for the final roster spots. And when you thought, we were finished, here comes the nuclear bomb, you're crazy if you think what just happened on Friday doesn't have huge implications for Chicago. Micah Parsons, one of the most dominant pass rushers this league has seen in the last decade, officially requested a trade from the Dallas Cowboys. And let me tell you, Chicago needs an elite pass rusher more desperately than a man lost in the desert needs water. Do you remember what we felt when we got Khalil Mack in 2018? That feeling that finally, we had a real game changer on our defense who could change the outcome of games by himself. Parsons represents exactly the same opportunity, but the reality of getting him is more complex and more brutal than any of us wants to admit. Let's first talk about what really happened on Friday. Parsons didn't just request a trade privately. He went straight to social media and basically declared nuclear war against the entire Cowboys organization. His message was absolutely devastating and unprecedented. I no longer want to be kept in negotiations behind closed doors without my agent present. I no longer want to be attacked for getting injured while giving everything for the organization, our fans, and my teammates. I no longer want narratives created and spread to the media about me. Do you understand the nuclear magnitude of those statements? We're talking about one of the best defensive players in the entire NFL burning bridges so publicly and so aggressively that it basically makes any reconciliation with Dallas impossible. That doesn't happen over a misunderstanding. That happens when contract negotiations have turned toxic beyond return. I think Jerry Jones and the Dallas front office handled this situation in the worst possible way. And now they're paying the price for underestimating one of the most important players on their roster. But here's the brutal reality we all have to face. Do you really think Jerry Jones is going to willingly let go of one of the best pass rushers in the NFL? The Athletic's Diana Rossini already laid the cards on the table on Friday when she wrote, "The Cowboys, according to league sources, do not plan to trade Parsons, but that is not expected to stop teams around the league from contacting them. And there's the fundamental problem with this whole situation. A trade requires two willing parties to do business, and Dallas simply isn't interested in listening to offers, no matter how toxic the relationship with Parsons has become. But let's entertain the fantasy for a moment, because I think any situation can change in this league if the drama escalates enough. What if Jerry Jones wakes up next week and decides he's open to serious offers for Parsons? ESPN's Adam Schefter already mentioned that the historic Khalil Mack trade in 2018 would likely be the benchmark for any deal with Parsons. Do you remember exactly what it cost to get Mack? 2 first-round picks, a third-rounder, and a sixth-rounder. And after completing the trade, we had to immediately give him a $141 million contract to keep him in Chicago. But you know what? I ask you this. Weren't those years with Mack the best we've had in decades? The 2018 season was absolutely magical. Our defense was historic, dominant, intimidating. We had a real playoff season for the first time in years. Chicago fans finally had something to get excited about every Sunday. Wasn't it worth every pick we gave up to live those moments? To see Soldier Field vibrating again like in the great days. To have a defense that other teams really feared facing. Now, let's be brutally honest about our current situation in 2024. After Montez Sweat, who is a solid but not elite pass rusher, our third best pass rusher on the depth chart is Austin Booker, an undrafted rookie. Austin Booker. When you have real playoff aspirations with Caleb Williams entering his second year, and your depth chart at pass rush is so limited that a rookie who wasn't even drafted is your third option, that's a situation that demands aggressive action. Parsons is 25. He's just entering his prime. His production numbers are absolutely insane. In 3 NFL seasons, he has 40.5 sacks, 13 forced fumbles, and a Defensive Rookie of the Year award. We're talking about a player who's already in the Hall of Fame conversation, and he hasn't even turned 26 yet. If Ryan Poles could get Parsons now, we'd have one of the league's best pass rushers throughout Caleb Williams' entire competitive window. We're talking 5, 6, maybe 7 years of elite production from the defensive side of the ball. But here comes the $1 million question that keeps me awake at night. Is it worth completely mortgaging our future draft capital to have a real and immediate competitive window? Because let's be honest about what a trade for Parsons would require. Multiple first-round picks, likely our 2025 first-rounder, our 2026 first-rounder, and several additional picks. And then we'd have to give him a contract that would probably break the pass rusher market. We're talking $30+ million a year, easily. Ryan Poles has already shown he doesn't fear big trades and aggressive decisions. He got rid of Robert Quinn when he saw he didn't fit the system. He traded for DJ Moore and immediately gave him a massive contract. He signed several significant free agents like Tremaine Edmonds and DeAndre Swift. But Parsons would be different. This would require an all-in bet that will completely define this franchise's direction for the next 5 years. And you know what's really got me thinking about this possibility? With Parsons on the left side, a Montez Sweat on the right, we'd be talking about a pass rush that could directly compete with any team in this league. Imagine what that would do for our secondary. When you have two elite pass rushers applying constant pressure, that makes corners like Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon look much better. But we also have to be realistic about the mathematical odds of this happening. Even if Dallas completely changed its mind tomorrow, which is extremely unlikely, there would be 15 to 20 teams immediately making calls and offering packages. Can the Chicago Bears offer more than teams like San Francisco, Philadelphia, or Buffalo that are closer to winning a Super Bowl right now? Can Ryan Poles compete with organizations that have more draft capital available and more flexibility in their salary cap? I think the honest answer is probably no, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't be making those phone calls. In this league, impossible situations become possible all the time when egos and emotions get involved. And you know what gives me hope in this completely crazy situation is that Jerry Jones has made irrational decisions before when he feels disrespected or wants to prove a point. If Parsons keeps escalating this drama publicly, if other Dallas players start taking sides, if the situation becomes so toxic it affects the entire locker room, then maybe, just maybe, Jones decides it's better to recover value for Parsons before the situation completely explodes. Look, Chicago family, these three stories show us exactly the historic moment we're in as an organization. Trapo is proving Ryan Poles knows how to find gems in the draft that can protect our franchise quarterback. The injuries in the receivers' room are showing us the real depth we have built for the first time in years. And the situation with Parsons reminds us that in this league, impossible opportunities can appear out of nowhere when we least expect them. Do you think Trapo can keep the starting job all season, even when Amagaji returns fully healthy? Will Boyin be able to recover in time to make enough impact in the preseason games to earn a spot on this roster? And the question that's driving us all crazy: should we aggressively pursue Parsons even if the odds are nearly impossible and the cost is absolutely brutal? Leave me your most honest and passionate answers in the comments, because this Chicago fan community always has the best insights and never stays quiet when something excites or bothers them. If you completely agree with me that Trapo is our future at left tackle and should keep the job no matter who's healthy, like this video right now. If you think we should go all in for Parsons no matter the brutal cost we'd have to pay, comment DA Bears below and explain exactly why you think it's worth risking our future for that opportunity. And listen to this, family, and if you want to, be part of the most passionate, most loyal, most informed, and most united community of Chicago Bears fans on the entire YouTube platform. That subscription button is waiting right there for you. Because tomorrow we're going to have more explosive news about our city, more deep analysis on every move this organization makes, and you absolutely can't miss what's coming for Chicago in the coming weeks. This is Chicago. This is Da Bears. This is Navy and Orange, and together we're going to live every moment, every trade, every injury, every victory, and every disappointment of this season that has the potential to change everything for this franchise. See you in the next video, family. Bear down forever.